Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to episode 999 of One Piece. So today begins what I am calling the Road to 1000, a series of videos on this channel that is leading up to the 1000th episode reaction next week. We are starting kind of with this episode, but also we will be having a series of top 10 videos as well as a video on why One Piece is my all-time favorite piece of media ever. And that will be going on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Saturday is the technical premiere of the 1000th episode, so that is the day I will be putting up that last video, the one on why it's my favorite piece of media. But as usual, we will be getting to the 1000th episode reaction next Monday. So, like I had said leading up to this, it's very likely the 1000th episode won't be anything particularly special. It's going to be another episode. And with the current arc going, there's probably going to be something cool that happens in it. But in general, it's just going to be another episode. And I'm just excited for it based more along the lines of its meaning and everything. Because this series has been going for well over 2 decades now. And we're getting closer to the end. Like, even if Oda hadn't said it himself, it's like you can kind of tell. We're getting closer to the end. And it's getting to the point where it's hard to deny that one day, within our lifetime, One Piece will be over. And it's strange to think about because for a good long while, most of my life, this series has been ongoing. And I've been watching it almost the entire time since the 4Kids dub premiered in America. And I'll talk more about it when we get to that video. But it is my favorite piece of media of all time. Not just my favorite show. Not just my favorite anime. Not just my favorite piece of animation. But my favorite piece of media of all time. Because it's become that important to me. In so many ways. For so many reasons. And although I acknowledge there are other shows and whatnot, and there are other things out there that are technically better made in terms of their pacing, in terms of their writing or characters. There are things out there that can be better made in certain ways. But it's the combination of everything, as well as just the entertainment factor, that makes One Piece that special to me. And again, I'll talk more about that then, but just wanted to bring up a little bit of this now. Let's talk about where we're at in the actual episodes. So, we have Yamato, who has run off to go help Momo. He's talking about like being Momo's father and everything now, and I think he's just dorking around. Um, yeah, it's just we know, like he understands that he's not actually Kozuki Oden. Like that's obvious. He's not dumb. But I think again it's more of a symbolic thing, and he wants to kind of like put himself into that situation. It's again more of a symbolic gesture by saying like, oh, if I'm going to become Kozuki Oden, I have to think like him. So I'm going to say Momo is my son in order to kind of get into that mindset. It's it's basically he's psyching himself up in order to continue his ideals within this grand battle that has started. That's how I'm viewing it anyway. We have the Minks ready to fight Jack and all. We haven't really gotten any like continuation of that yet. That was a couple episodes ago. Um, and as I said last time, it's like they can't cover everything every episode, or even with the original manga as Oda wrote it. He can't cover everything every chapter. There's so much happening during this battle that it's like some things are going to have to wait a chapter or two to get some resolution for, just because of all that's happening. We have Sanji, who saves Momo from King after Shinobu helps Momo escape. He gets Momo into Shinobu's hands and gets them out of there while taking on King. Although he seems overpowered pretty quickly, he's still pretty cool in doing so. Um, and we have Big Mom stealing Zeus back from Nami and going after her, trying to kill her. But Frankie comes in right in the nick of time with Brooke and literally runs over Big Mom's face. And it's really sudden and kind of hilarious. Um, Especially with Nami's reaction afterwards, just like almost kind of fawning over Frankie and like being super heavily thankful. It's great. Um, but yeah, we have a bunch of stuff going on, and that's to be expected. Law is on his way in. Zoro is fighting and everything, and it's like this is kind of what we expected from this war. Just a bunch of shit happening at once. All these, excuse me, I just woke up not long ago. All these different battles, all these different moments of action happening throughout the various parts of Onigashima. Mostly its main hall, but still. Um, Everything is just kind of happening right now. Kaido's in his dragon form. The Akazaya 9 are up there with the minks and everything with Kaido, and they're all ready to take each other on. Shit's going down. um, so yeah, with this being, though, kind of the climax of at least this act of the arc, this is going to take a while. Like, this has been built up so heavily, this battle at Onigashima, that it's going to be a long battle. Um, I think I've heard that it's kind of still going in the manga, actually. Um, because it's probably going to end, excuse me, it's probably going to end Act 3. Like the rest of Act 3 is probably going to is going to be this battle. And Act 3 is still ongoing. um And I don't know like any detailed spoilers or anything about where this goes at the moment. Um, but if the rest of Act 3 is going to be this and it's still ongoing, like that's for some people it might be a bad sign because some people don't like it when these arcs are stretched out so much, but I do. Like I like Dressrosa. And yes, Dressrosa is really long. Um but it gives us more time to really build everything up, to really and truly develop everything during these fights, because again there's so many characters at this point, so many points of action that they, if they went with a normal pacing, if Oda went with a normal pacing during this, it would feel honestly very rushed. So many characters would not get the amount of time that they deserve and that is needed for their developments and whatnot. They would suffer. The fights would suffer. It needs to be longer like this. It helps the series overall. And in the end, it also, yeah, it does make it a little hard to sit through sometimes, because it's like, oh, every week you're waiting week by week for more to happen, and sometimes it's like it just stretches it out, and yeah, it does. But that also builds up tension and excitement. The fact that you're so excited, the fact that you're so heavily anticipating the next episode is testament to how good this is. Like, this is why I've said in the past I don't really like the binging model. Have I binged some shows on streaming or whatever else? Yeah, of course I have. But I prefer watching things week by week like this, because I feel it leads to a better experience with the series and makes it feel more raw and genuine. And honestly, it gives you the better viewing experience just in terms of entertainment and build up. I stand by that. If people prefer to binge it, that's on them and that's completely fine. But I'm just speaking from my experience. Either way, I'm enjoying what they're doing, and I want them to keep building up this tension, want them to keep building up this battle as it goes along, and I'm excited to see what happens during it each and every episode. Um, but this episode is important too. Like a lot of people are gonna be like talking about, of course, the 1000th episode, but the 999th, the penultimate episode before that, is important because it builds the 1000th up. What is this episode going to do to hype up next week's? What is this going to do to just put that 1000th episode even more on a pedestal? How is it going to lead into it? That's important. A lot of people don't really acknowledge that. But this episode is important as well. Because if it didn't get it right, if this episode doesn't get it right and it gives a subpar build up to episode 1000, the 1000th episode won't feel as good. It won't be as exciting, it won't be as hype, it won't be as just enjoyable if it's not built up properly. Because the hype of it being the 1000th episode can only lead so far, because the episode needs to be able to stand for itself as well. And build up is part of what helps that work. So we want a good episode too, you know what I'm saying? Um, and I've talked about this before in the previous episodes, reactions and all. But next episode is also supposed to have a new opening. Again, I have not heard if it's been stated if it's a just completely new opening or just a special one for the 1000th episode. I'm hoping it's a new opening because we're kind of at that point where we could use a new one. While I love the opening we have, it's like pretty much everything in it has come to pass, and it's like it's at this point that we could use a new opening to herald us into this war, this climax of Act 3. And I think that, again, the 1000th episode is the perfect point to change that. So I'm hoping that this is just a new opening. Because if they just do a special opening for the 1000th episode, like, it could be cool, it could be really nostalgic and amazing and awesome, but it'll also feel kind of cheap. Having a single episode have a special opening always feels kind of cheap in my eyes. It's like I would rather have a a new ongoing opening that even celebrates 1000 episodes in the opening, continuing forward though. Like, there was a 20th anniversary opening that had like them chasing the gold beetle across the ship and everything. Like, it was the 20th anniversary only happened technically once. But the opening continued on, and it's like we kept with that opening, and it was still celebrating that we got to that 20-year point. And it's like, and it was a good opening on its own merits too. But it was made very clear in the opening. It's like, yeah, this is what we're celebrating. That would something like that is what I want. Like, yeah, another good opening. It's just great music, great visuals and all, but also still sneaking in that celebration. That's something that would be perfect in my eyes. So I'm hoping they do something more like that. I don't remember which opening that was. I believe that was post time skip still. I think it would have to have been. Because the twentieth anniversary would have been in 2019, right? Because I believe the anime started in '99. So yeah, we would have definitely been in the New World by then. I'm trying to think of where we would be at. Would that be before Dress? No, that would be during Dressrosa. That would have to be during Dressrosa. No, wait. I'm thinking anime specifically, of course. 2019 is only 2 years ago. What am I thinking? I've gotten so messed up with the time and everything and the years and all because of this COVID thing. Um, Only a couple years ago, like, yeah, we were. That was probably still in Whole Cake Island, honestly. I don't know because I was still catching up during that time and everything, so I don't know exactly where it was. That was probably Whole Cake Island. But Whole Cake Island had its own opening, so maybe not. I don't know. I don't know. I could look it up. Maybe I will between recording this and the afterthoughts, or before the, or recording this and the reaction, or before the afterthoughts, or something. I'll figure it out. Either way, we're just gonna get this started. I've talked way long enough. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, this, I feel, was a pretty successful penultimate episode before the big 1000th. It builds everything up really well, in my opinion, and especially in regards to what it's clearly about to lead to. Because we just have Luffy in this episode making his way up towards the battle where Kaido is at. And at the very end of the episode, he looks up at the ongoing battle above him, at the hole in the ceiling, at the moon and everything. And he says, "Wait for me, Kinemon." And it's a great hype moment that amps up his arrival into that fight, which definitely hypes up next episode. Um, but this episode was great on a number of other levels too. In my opinion, Frankie has not been as good post time skip as he has been pre time skip. They're almost two different characters in a way. Pre time skip Frankie is cool, suave, a little goofy, of course. I mean, all of them are goofy, but very much that kind of cool character who adds a different layer to the group that you didn't really have before. Um, but post time skip, Oda made the robot side of him much more focused on, like with his design, with his redesign and everything, but even with the way he acts and all. And I really don't like the direction that took. It's like, even though I love this series and everything, and I think Oda's a genius, not everything he does works. I mean, the Foxy Pirates are proof of that. But in all seriousness, one of the best things about Frankie was the humanity that still resided within him. The fact that although he was a cyborg after having to rebuild himself from the accident with the Puffing Tom, he was still human. And he very much, in a way, relied on that. He had this cool, badass persona that he put on, hiding a lot of the emotions that were underneath, a lot of the just depth of character that he went through in having to deal with everything, with the death of his master, the semi falling out he had with his brother in arms Iceberg, and so on and so forth. So he put on this cool guy persona, and you could kind of say that the fact that he shed that a little in the new world is kind of the point, because it was an act that he put on, but he still he kind of shed a lot of that when he joined the Straw Hats, and that was kind of the point. He was still cool and everything. It's just he didn't need to be cool as a disguise anymore. He could be his natural cool at that point. When we see him in Thriller Bark, when we see him in Shabandi, when we see him just doing what he does on that island at Dr. Vegapunk's lab and all, he's cool still. He at Eni's lobby, he has this suaveness and this coolness that just doesn't really exist post time skip. Post time skip, it's like Oda just said, okay, now he's more robot than man. And it's like, that kind of ruins the point. That kind of ruins his appeal. By making him more robot than man, it just takes away what made Frankie so good in the first place. And Oda's kind of stuck on that. And yeah, Frankie's had some cool moments for sure. He's definitely had some really good moments in the new world. But it's not been as commonplace to see him as cool as he was post or pre-time skip. So seeing this episode and see him kind of going back to that that coolness and everything, and seeing even Nami kind of like fawn over him for it, that's the Frankie I want to see. This is the Frankie that feels like the human in the cyborg body. The Frankie I did fall in love with back in Water 7 and Eni's lobby. This is what I want to see for him. So I'm glad that they brought this back for that. And getting to see him take on Big Mom completely fearlessly. Oh, and that line. When Nami's like, no, she's an emperor, we have to run. And Frankie's like, Nami, don't you want our captain to become king of the pirates? And it's like, oh my god. That was just one of the best single bits of dialogue in this series. Not even just this arc, but this series. I'm not even joking. It was so badass and cool. But it was also just this pure sign of loyalty and trust that Frankie has in not just Luffy, but the crew. That they are going to do whatever it takes to make him the king of the pirates. And that means going against the other emperors of the sea. Like Big Mom, like Kaido. Like, that's kind of the point of everything they're doing here. So it's like, and again, the way he said it too was just so fucking badass. It's like, this is the Frankie I love to see. So it's like that really impressed me. This episode was named after Yamato, and specifically him meeting Momonosuke. That was a good part of the episode, but it wasn't like a long part. This seems to be a naming thing with this lately, where it's like they just name the episode after something that happens that's significant, but not really the majority portion of what's going on. So okay. But yeah, Yamato reaches Shinobu and Momo and is like, finally, I've gotten to you. They're freaked out by him because, yeah, they don't know who he is. He just came out of nowhere. Luckily, Luffy's on his way up, so he stops and says, Shinobu, you can trust him. He's our ally. And then Shinobu and Momo don't trust him after he says he's Odin. And again, I feel it's clear enough what he's going with there. But I do like that Momo and Shinobu both saw like the spirit of Odin in him, but then got freaked out, and it's like, wait, no, something's wrong here. I like that. That was funny. But they know they can trust Luffy. So it's like, if Luffy says he's trustworthy, I would think they would have to believe him, right? We also get a bit with the numbers. We actually get to see them in full color. I really didn't expect such bright, vibrant colors, but okay. And yeah, we actually get to find out a little more about them, other than just seeing them mess with Usopp and Chopper in this episode. So, I don't think it mentioned this before, at least, but the numbers are from Punk Hazard. We know that Caesar Clown there was experimenting with giantification and all. And we see here that he created the numbers as basically recreations of the giants. Caesar Clown was trying to make artificial giants, which is really fascinating in and of itself. We know that Caesar was working for Doflamingo, who in turn was working for Kaido. So, we kind of assume then that Kaido is the one who wanted them in the first place. That the numbers were his desire from the beginning. So he had Doflamingo have Caesar make them and all. Because otherwise, I don't see why Caesar or Doflamingo would want to make artificial giants. It just doesn't seem like anything that either of them would be kind of after. But that is interesting. It's interesting world building for stuff we've already had. And comparing them to Oars and all in Thriller Bark was a real nice touch as well. Because it's like, yeah, it makes sense. Especially with their designs. And general size. And then we also get to have two of my favorite members of the crew including my favorite character of the entire series, get to be badass together. So after Frankie fires a radical beam at the numbers to free um, Chopper and Usopp, Big Mom is about to attack him when all of a sudden Jinbei comes out of nowhere, um, shoulder throws Big Mom onto a bunch of hands that Robin has created, and literally rolls her away from the battle. It is badass and hilarious at the same time. It's badass because you get to see Jinbei and Robin working together in a really cool way, using their abilities in tandem, but also just seeing Jinbei fight against Big Mom, like really fight against Big Mom, is just cool to see because of their past and everything. But it's also really fucking funny because it's like they just literally roll Big Mom away from the battle for the moment. And Jinbei is like, oh yeah, she'll come back angrier. Who cares? It's really fucking funny. And it's just like, oh, okay, bye. It's like we've seen Robin do this before too, like with the hands and everything and rolling enemies away. Like we've seen her do that, so it's like there is precedence for doing this kind of thing. But it's just I did not expect them to do it to Big Mom, and it's just hilarious. um, there's a lot of characters we didn't see. Obviously, we didn't see any more of the mink fight going on. Though we did see a glimpse at what was happening up there, we didn't actually see the fight, any of the fight really itself. Um, and yeah, we just continued on with a lot of the stuff we've been covering, but not everything, because as I had said, can't cover everything in every episode, or in case of the manga, every chapter. But yeah, it was a good lead up episode to episode 1000. Had a lot of good stuff happen. Again, bringing back Frankie's coolness was a very welcome treat. Yamato being fucking adorable and trying to impress Shinobu and Momo, but actually scaring them off was hilarious. Jinbei and Robin working together and then rolling Big Mom away. And of course, again, Luffy ending off the episode looking up to the sky saying, "Wait for me, Kinemon." It's just like everything just worked together to be badass and awesome. And now we go into the 1000th episode next week. And leading up to that, we have our Road to 1000 special on the channel. Monday, today, actually, as well as Wednesday and Friday, will be a different top 10 video, or just countdown video in general, each day. And on Saturday, the day of the 1000th episode release, will be my video on why One Piece is my favorite piece of media of all time. So look forward to all of those leading up to the actual reaction to the 1000th episode, which will be next Monday. I'm very excited to get to this next week. It's going to be hopefully pretty amazing. I can't wait to see what the new opening is like. It's just, it's a huge milestone. Just like when the chapters hit chapter 1000, there's this huge celebration, this huge thank you Oda movement. It was such a huge deal. And again, you know that while it may not be as big with the anime, because, you know, some people are against the anime for stupid reasons, there's still going to be a lot of people celebrating this next week as we reach the 1000th episode. It's such a huge milestone, no matter whether it is for the manga or the anime. So it's great to see that we're having excitement for both. And I can't wait to see what the future holds for One Piece. We may be through most of the series by this point. We may be on the downward track towards the end, but it's still going to be an exciting race to the finish. And you know Oda's going to put his all into making this ending perfect. And so we just have to trust him. We just have to trust him, knowing that he will close this out as best he can. So, thank you all so much for tuning in to another episode. Tell me what you thought of episode 999 in the thoughts, the comments below. My mind blanked out for a second there. Tell me what you thought in the comments below, and as always, no spoilers, because as I know a couple of very small things going forward, I wish not to be spoiled on anything, especially anything big. So just don't tell me anything about what's to come. But in the meantime, thank you so much for tuning in, and for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.